and it was published in 1847. There was once a perfect gentleman whose whole household goods consisted of one boot jack and a comb. But he also had one of the most remarkable shirt collars in the world. I'll tell you a story about it. When the shirt collar had passed his prime, he turned his thoughts to marriage. In the fullness of time, he went to the wash, and there he met with the garter. "My," said the collar, "anyone so slender, so tender, so neat, and as nice as you are, I never did see. May I know your name?" "No," said the garter, "I won't tell you." "Then at least tell me where you live," asked the collar. But the garter was so modest that she couldn't bring herself to answer such an embarrassing question. "I believe you are a girdle," said the collar, "a sort of underneath girdle. And I dare say you are as useful as you are beautiful, my pretty little dear." "I forbid you to speak to me," said the garter. "I'm sure I haven't given you the slightest encouragement." "Your beauty is every encouragement," said the collar. "Kindly keep away from me," said the garter. "You look too masculine." "Oh, I'm the perfect gentleman," said the collar. "I have a boot jack and a comb to prove it." This wasn't true at all, for they belonged to his master, but he liked to boast. "Please don't come so close," said the garter. "I'm not used to such behavior." "Prude," the collar called her, as they took him from the wash tub. They starched him, hung him over a chair back in the sun, and then stretched him out on an iron board. There he met with the Satyron. "My dear lady," said the collar, "you adorable widow woman, the closer you come, the warmer I feel. I'm a changed color since I met you, without a wrinkle left in me. You burn clear through me. Oh, won't you be mine?" "Rag," said the Satyron, as she flattened about, for she went her way like a railway engine pulling cars down a track. "Rag," was what she said. The collar was worse for wear at the edges, and so the scissors were called to trim him. "Oh," said the collar, "you must be a ballet dancer. How straight you stretch your legs out. Such a graceful performance. No one can do that like you." "I'm well aware of it," said the scissors. "You deserve to be no less than a countess," said the collar. "Oh, all I have to offer is my perfect gentleman, boot jack and comb. Oh, if only I had an earldom." "I do believe he's daring to propose," said the scissors. "She cut him so fiercely that he'll never recover." "Now I shall have to ask the comb," said the collar. "My dear, how remarkably well you have kept your teeth. Have you ever thought of getting engaged?" "Why, of course," said the comb. "I am engaged. To the boot jack." "Engaged!" the collar exclaimed. Now that there was no one left for him to court, the collar pretended that he had never meant to marry. Time passed, and the collar went his way to the bin in the paper mill, where the rags kept company according to rake. The fine rags in one bin, the coarse in another, just as it is in the world. They all gossiped aplenty, but the collar chattered the most, for he was an awful braggart. "I've had sweethearts by the dozen," he told them. "Ladies never would leave me alone, and you can't blame them, for I was such a perfect gentleman, stiff with starch, and with a boot jack and comb to spare. You should have seen me then. You should have seen me unbend. I'll never forget my first love. Such a charming little girdle, so slender and tender. She threw herself into a tub of water, all for the love of me. Then there was the widow, glowing to get me, but I jilted her and let her cool off. And then there was the ballet dancer, whose mark I bear to this day. What a fiery creature she was! And even my comb fell so hard in love with me that she lost all her teeth when I left her. Yes, indeed, I have plenty on my conscience. But the girdle, who drowned herself in the wash tub, is the one I feel most badly about. Oh, I have a black record, and it's high time I turned into spotless white paper. And that's exactly what happened. All the rags were made into paper, and the color became the page you see, the very paper on which the story is printed. That was because he boasted so outrageously about things that never happened. So let's be careful to behave better than he did, for you can never tell. Someday we may end up in the rag bag and be made into white paper on which the whole story of our life is printed in full detail. Then we'd have to turn tattletale on ourselves,